This is my theory on Welcome to Dreamworld's timeline. Do not mind the background. Anyway, I think that this starts off with Sarah Kovaman as a child, moved from poor side of town, moved to a new elementary school, got bullied for it, and one day three bullies decided to corner her at the end, like near the end of a cliff and a forest, and Sarah, in I think a state of panic, pushed one of the bullies off the cliff, and before the other two could scream and cry and run for their lives, she tore them limb from limb, as seen in the training tape. Later on, she'd be going to the police station for questioning, and she would lie about not knowing it was happening, and they would never find the person who did it. And in high school, she made some friends. Oliver and Lewis. I forget Oliver and Lewis's last name. I think Lewis Bright. Yeah, Lewis Bright and Oliver Acrimony. They became close friends. They worked on many projects together, and there was one in particular that they would be doing as adults as well. And they asked one teacher in Pacific named Eric Gale if he would want to take part in that project, if it ever would come to exist. He said sure, and just waited. Their teacher was named Eric Gale. I already said that, I'm pretty sure. He had memory loss ever since he was a kid. Anastasia, as lots of people call it. One day he had an adopted daughter named Carly, and his life just became more happy for him, and he became a teacher and so on. And later on, when they're all adults, they actually start on their project, and they're really happy about it. And Eric Gale goes to help on as well. Lewis was the technical one, like for the animatronics, kind of like a mechanic. Oliver was like the programming person that worked all the computers, and Sarah helped pull it all together into a big facility known as Dreamworld Entertainment. So, a few months before the opening, Lewis goes missing for unknown reasons. And soon after, there was a detective that came to investigate named Damien. Oliver decided to welcome him in, while Sarah didn't want him in there in case he found out. Once Oliver found out what happened to Lewis and what Sarah was doing, he went missing just like Lewis. Little did anybody else know, Sarah murdered them. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the reason this didn't go as smoothly was because that Sarah had a plan to make immortality, but Lewis and Oliver did not agree. So, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Sarah had to get a way to get rid of them so that they wouldn't spoil her plans, Little did anyone know at that time that she had met Litho, which wasn't a demon, but something else entirely, something that we do not know. And after two other founders, Lewis and Oliver, went missing, she attended the opening by herself. And then there comes Wyatt. Wyatt is a mechanic at the Dreamworld Entertainment, and at first thinks that Starlight is a really bland robot, and it's very robotic, as he thought, but Starlight was a lot more active and lively than he thought. They got a little tour around the building, and Starlight explains to the others after they welcome him. Starlight explains to the others that they're not supposed to be talking to any other staff except for Sarah, as it's protocol. I gotta hurry this up. And later on, a few weeks later, or days later, I don't know, Starlight asks Ribbon Dancer to alert Wyatt if he'd like to see the decorations and get his opinion on them. Wyatt does go to the down floor, and then the building collapses. But before that, all the employees were explaining that all the computers were going red and showing pictures of the founders for some reason. And when the building collapsed, Starlight was all alone. He thought Wyatt was dead until Wyatt woke up. And Starlight was happy to see he woke up because he was his friend. Later on, they explore the building to look for an exit. That's not the one that was broke. Wyatt gets an explanation to what happened from Starlight, and the rest of the animatronics are stuck down there with him. Wyatt decides to try and find an exit while looking with Starlight. A while later, Wyatt figures out that Starlight is indeed Lewis. And Lewis used to be Wyatt's boyfriend before he moved away, before they took a break. And then we see a training tape of Lewis and Wyatt talking about Lewis moving. And then we see more tapes in something else that Starlight was a bit depressed before the opening because he knew Wyatt was right after what happened to him. And a while before that, we see another tape of the news. It was of a burning house near the elementary school where 3 students, known as the bullies of Sarah, went missing. There was a house near the forest that caught on fire. It was the home of Louis Bright. They didn't know who was trapped in the house, but they were sending firefighters to look, but they wouldn't make it there in time. There would be no source of DNA or anything. They would find nothing, even though Eric Gale was in there at all. He was just a burning corpse by the time they got there, but he wasn't even there. Later on, he gets to be known as Ribbon Dancer, Ribbon Dancer doesn't remember anything. And then we see more tapes of his daughter Carly exploring, trying to find her father. Lots of evidence shows that Carly might be Cheer. And moving back to the story, they see Pop has gotten infected with a virus, and Wyatt tries to help him, but Pop refuses his service. And all the other animatronics are starting to get viruses, and Starlight and Ribbon Dancer don't get viruses. They all portray Wyatt as Sarah, even though Wyatt isn't even Sarah. And then, what was I talking about? Yep, okay. And then they chase after him and try to kill him because of what they've done to them, Sarah has done to them. Sarah was one behind the virus, and so was Winnie, an animatronic that is Sarah's assistant in lots of stuff, but isn't for the public eye. They try and find a way to help the animatronics, and they do manage to find a way, but then Starlight gets trapped by a metal arm, and 2 also gets the virus. Wyatt reforms them one by one, and they finally go back to being themselves. And on the way, he meets an animatronic, the old version of Starlight, named Nightlight, as they call themselves. And they give him a crowbar. Wyatt doesn't know why, but then he realizes it's because of Rex. Rex and Wyatt fight, and accidentally flings his arm off and gets the virus out of him. And then more and more of the people manage to get redeemed by from the virus. Starlight is alone in Starlight Theater after they got the virus, and they do not come down for Wyatt, but Wyatt has to reason with Lewis and make Lewis sad to get the other mask off of him. Which is quite nice. But Lewis thought it was fake after he was redeemed from the virus. But Wyatt tells him that he meant every word he said about everything. So they go back to their journey to find an exit and free everyone from their animatronic prisons. Gloria and Rex still love each other, and they make it down. At this point, they're not trying to find an exit, they're trying to find the Collector, as they call it, or stop Sarah. And at one point, they do find the lab, but are horrified about it. So they try and find a way to get their souls back into their bodies while still not dying, and stop Sarah from doing all of this again. They go down to the underground tunnels under the facility and meet the Collector. They free all the broken souls from the Collector, and they meet a Twin Blow on the way, named, I don't remember its name though. It's a twin blow, but it talks unlike the others. So it's different. So the twin blow walks along on their journey as well, and after a while, the twin blow goes missing. Wyatt is sad that the twin blow went missing, but then Sarah comes in as Litho, as she did before with a mask, pretending she wasn't Sarah, even though she clearly was. Well, I missed a few parts there, where Oliver was shown as a TV, and Damien managed to get in to investigate more. And Oliver, Lolly, and Pop are all siblings. We figured that out earlier, but I forgot to mention it. And we saw Sarah there too. Okay, back to it. Sarah comes back in, but she introduces herself as Litho, as she is getting possessed by Litho. Litho's not a demon, though. Though used to be a human being, as lots of people would think, until something happened. They were trying to open a portal, but then all their plans were ruined by Wyatt and the animatronics, and everyone's memory got wiped, except for Wyatt's and Starlight's. Next time we see it, Starlight is in a room because they need to get their memory wiped a second time because it didn't work the first time. Winnie's there, about to do it, but stops after he hears how scared and how Starlight is trying to reason with him. He stops and tries to keep everyone else in line, and it is also revealed that Winnie too has a soul. And Sarah, now reopening the facility as if nothing ever happened, made an ARG website that lots of people know to frame Welcome to Dreamworld as being set in the 2000s in lost media, even though that is not true. It was only open a few months ago. Oliver was taken home by Damien and Wyatt to their apartment. He kept having nightmares about all the stuff that's happened since. And then Wyatt goes back to work early because the police don't believe him in all these, like a weird entity named Litho and all the animatronics going crazy, and it was not set in the 2000s and stuff. They don't believe him after him coming there day after day, and he finally goes back to work saying that he had some more work to do, even though that was a lie. They notify him that they have a security system that's impossible to get through, usually, and realizes something happened to Celio, because that was another reason he came back to the facility. And then there was another character that he was looking for, but I forget the name of her. He came to Starlight, but then because Starlight was going crazy, it seemed like, and since it's an ARG version, you can go anyway. So if you investigate the map, you see the map. You can investigate anywhere, but I'm just saying my way because that's the way I went, and I don't know any other way that I went. But they visit either Glory or anywhere else. They do always end up at Starlight Theater, though. And they see that everyone that isn't Starlight was having dreams about their past life, but they don't know that. So they were just saying weird dreams of stuff, places they haven't been to, and stuff. And Wyatt promises to look into that in a bit, but goes to see Starlight first. Starlight accidentally calls him Wyatt instead of Mechanic or something, and it proves that Lewis does remember him. And Wyatt is very angry at Starlight for doing something to Celio, even though it's... But then they realize that then Wyatt accidentally stays way too long in the facility, and he gets trapped in there. Starlight notifies him that in a few minutes, their number one priority will be to get intruders and report them to Sarah. Sarah would probably not do anything good to him. So he has to make it through all these puzzles and go left and right and figure out stuff. He has to figure out a code to the elevator that was Sarah. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember it because it was so long ago. Anyways, this is taking so long because I'm so stupid. Wait, what did I say? Oh, yeah, Wyatt makes it through all the puzzles and manages to get to, I don't remember the person's name that was in the lab. And then Damien walks in as well, and he broke a window to get in, which was really easy and kind of funny. And so they press a button that was like a red emergency button, and all of the animatronics came, and they all figured it out, that remembered their memories again. And in the process of that, Ribbon Dancer lost half of his body and is just a head right now. And then the energy ends. And then there's these 3 tapes with Morris the Vampire Bat and Norman, also known as Normal Man, where Norman has no idea what's happening while Norman knows it. Then they see that the Twiblo that Wyatt once lost was getting advertised, and he could talk to, same as before. And after that, he was quite confused. But after a while of looking at tapes of stuff that the Twiblo gave him, he knew that Normal Man, also known as Norman, was lying to him about stuff. So he goes to confront him, and the Twiblo rips off the half of his face. And they also make a new animatronic using the comments as a mascot. It was cute. And the Twiblo rips off half of his face, and it reveals that he was a robot the whole time. And it was funny, and he said he'll tell them everything he knows if he can have his face back, his side of his face back. They agree, and that's where my theory ends, or my timeline theory ends, because that's all I know. Okay, bye-bye.